You know, there are many different ways to describe President Barack Obama. Family man, leader, Chicagoan, and definitely a sports fan. As the Obama Presidential Center opened its doors, we take a deep dive into one of his passions, basketball. He had a full court put in. He would have games with members of his staff, big-name NBA players, Hall of Famers. Can you imagine some of the stories he could tell? Well, we got a few of his friends to tell his story in their words.
If I had to pick 2 words to describe President Obama's game, I'd say smooth, and the second word would be crafty.
I would say tenacious and intelligent.
Cerebral, completely unselfish, and competitive as hell.
If someone's a good leader on the sports field, I feel like those are attributes that translate. If someone's a smart player and knows how to win, I think all of those translate in some respects to how you are as a person, what your character is.
Someone who's literally President of the United States had zero ego. It was never about him. He just wanted to win. And it tells you, again, something about his character and who he is. It tells you a lot about his character and who he is.
I could definitely see that this was an escape for him. I could see it right when he would come into the gym. We would usually get there a little earlier. But when he would come in and he'd be stretching out before we'd play and be talking to some of the other guys.
It was for us just an immense source of stress relief. And I know how much it meant to me personally. I know the kind of stress I was under. And I know what President Obama was facing was exponentially more than what I was facing. To have a chance to go and sweat and play and compete and have some camaraderie, just beyond invaluable times and memories that we'll cherish forever.
Playing basketball or golf, all of them have an intensity where you can block everything else out and just be physically alive. Working out became the way you manage stress because the rest of the day is white hot heat. I call it the ultra marathon. You're gonna go run 110 miles every day. Every day.
President Obama has a theory that by election day, the election's over. So he'll do stuff in the morning if he needs to, like train stops or whatever, but he thinks that campaigning on election day is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, so we played, we played obviously lots of different times, but we created a small tradition of playing every election day.
Good morning, Election Day. After a hard-fought battle, it all boils down to today. 2 men, 2 parties, 2 very different visions of how to get America back on track.
By the time we played on election day, they had one of the balls imprinted with the Yes We Can logo. And so you're sitting there in sweats, you're sweating, and no one really wanted to talk about it. But the seriousness and the gravity of it really hit that in a few hours. This guy that we're playing with and that we're sweating all over, is about to be the most powerful man in the world, the first African-American president in our country's history. So yeah, it's surreal, it was emotional, it was powerful, and it's something that will probably never be replicated by any of us. And I guess everyone was scurrying to get their nice suits on and get ready for election day and all the festivities, and the ball was lying there, and it somehow made its way into my vehicle. It's a great keepsake, it's a special memory.
Those are really fun days. Playing those election days, every time we played, we won. So I attributed a lot of his success politically to those games. Probably not actually factually correct, but we took some credit for that.
The one time that I played with him in Chicago was on Election Day 2012, and this was, largely a reunion of his former Chicago basketball pickup crew, plus a few special folks, former NBA players, a few of the Bulls players, folks like Scottie Pippen and Randy Brown.
He also likes to have the best players on his team, which, is funny. On election day, we were playing, and I'm going through the list of who's on his team, and I was on his team, and I'm looking at it, and I said, Scottie Pippen's on the other team. He's like, I know, that stinks. I'm like, well, we can't have Scottie Pippen on the other team. He said, I know, but Marty made up the teams and he put Pippen on his team. And I looked at him and I said, you're the most powerful man in the world. Cross his name out and put him on our team. And you can ask Marty about that. He crossed out the name, and next thing you know, Scottie Pippen changes his jersey and he's on our team. And then we just continued to destroy everybody.
We would often talk about how right when we'd finish and the doors would open, he'd walk out, it was back into the real world for him, because there were all the, there was a van with cameras, waiting for him. The media pool was out there, but they would never come in. But once he left that gym, he was back out to being the president of the United States.
Well, he loves this city. His wife loves this city. It's where, they created a life. It's where they raised their daughters. Michelle is a product of the South Side. And so I can't speak for him, but Chicago is a huge part of him. It's who he, it's the city that I think is the most meaningful to him. And that's why when it came to where he wanted to put the Obama Presidential Center, again, you'd have to ask him, but I think there was never going to be another option.
We talked about this way back. I joked way back in the day. I said, you got to build a court. And I was joking. And he said, okay, we'll build a court.
I think it's a very cool addition. I think, again, that goes back to community, to the future. Sports bring so many people together. It's an inspiration for kids. It gives hope to kids. It allows them to focus on things like teamwork, grit, hard work, camaraderie. So I think it's a perfect fitting that he's got a couple basketball courts there.
Just to see that addition to the South Side, but to Chicago, and think about people from across the world who will come visit for the next 100 years or whatever. It's a really spectacular thing they've done. When you walk up to the top floor and have a chance to sort of absorb that and feel all that they intended you to feel there, it's not about him, it's about us. And it's a pretty profound moment.
I mean, that is just awesome. By the way, Alexi, Arnie, and John, they all played college basketball, so you knew all of those games were always competitive. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.